First of all, don't tell me what to do.
Grope. Grope.
Ding dong. Hello?
سبحان فالق
Yes.
الإصباح.
Yes, that's right, morons. It's the day after, so peel back the rock. Come out of the cave, allegedly. You should have moved on the spear, infidels. Put down the Cadbury eggs, slap the chocolate out of your moron mouths, and get ready for the Monday locker room. Here, channelattitude.com, Hacker Hameen, and the one true vet is in the house, infidels. So rise and praise. He has risen. Allegedly. Oh, what's good, you guys? Oh, back in action, and I'm glad to have one of the Hameen super soldiers here with me. He hit me up, man, and he's got some stuff to lay down. We're going to go scorched earth today here on the Monday locker room after a big holiday weekend. Hopefully you did some rabbit hunting and didn't let anybody do a home invasion and move your eggs around. But we're going to kick the eggs between your legs on the Monday locker room here. It's Hacker Hameen and the Vet. Good morning, Vet.
Good morning, everyone. Ben, sounds like you had a great weekend. So great that you may be in a little digestive trouble.
Well, it's always tough to digest all this wrestling, as I had to rewatch SmackDown last night so we can get the SmackDown review done. Yeah, and all these big announcements last week that were groundbreaking and earth shattering. So we made it through, but I went over to the Emperor's Palace, and his staff cooked up a Meltzer 5-star meal like they always do, and probably overindulged coming off of eating buffets and drinking. But, that just comes with the territory of you can't do it like you used to when you were a young man. So everything in moderation, and we'll be back kicking ass in the gym this week as we move into 2 heavyweight title matches at the end of this month, Vet. So I got a lot of work to do, get that cardio up, get angry, and get ready to go to Canada. And then one's a Royal Rumble, so I got, who knows, I could have 30 other infidels that I got to huck over the top rope here. So I'm getting game focused and just trying to keep everything HMG rocking. But I am banned from the Hameen Media Discussion.
How does that work?
I posted our 420 poster for Horseshoe Genetics party that we're having on 420, 3:30 to 10 p.m. Everyone's welcome, invited. It's free, a lot of giveaways. We're gonna have a big smokers lounge, but just posting that poster, somebody flagged it, and I was banned from posting in groups for 7 days. I can like stuff, but I can't share or post anything. So I've been silently lurking in the back, watching everybody have a good time over there in HMG discussion group. And I'll be back here on the 14th, I think, is when I officially get out of Facebook Guantanamo.
Facebook jail, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. And an Instagram, I dual post it at the same time through Meta Business Suite. And Facebook, you're in jail. Instagram, no problem. Same company owns both.
Oh yeah, of course.
Insane, bro, insane. But I see we're almost 20 strong in the first 3 minutes here on Ben Hameen YouTube channel and Twitch.tv/Hameen Media. Everybody looking to get away from their families and get back to the pack here to kick off another wrestling week, man. But yeah, I had a good time. And you said you were just kind of under the thumb of the man, getting work done all weekend long like the Vet does while everybody else sleeps. He's out there pulling guard duty, making sure we can all sleep soundly.
Yeah, that's right. And even when I'm working for the man, I'm still the one in charge, and I'm still going over. So it's all right. They work for me, really. In the end, they just don't realize it. But yeah, in my line of work, it's weekends are meaningless and holidays are meaningless, and you always got to be ready to go. So no problem, though. It's the life I chose.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you reached out. RB is in that right now. He had to work a 12-hour yesterday, and he was from, I think, 8 at night to 8 in the morning, and then they wanted him back at noon today. So He's on one of those trips. Yeah, that's a rough shot right there. So big shout out to RBV. Big shout out to Timmy Baltimore. Talked to him over the weekend. He wanted to send love to all the Hami Media Group members who've reached out saying hoping he's feeling better. So hit him up at Timmy Baltimore. Send him those well wishes. And I'm sure you saw it. Big Stevie Cool making it out to the beach, letting the waves wash over his feet. And what a cathartic experience.
Unassisted.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So really, really thankful for all of our brothers who are, down and out there pretty hard and kicking out and coming back. Slow pace, but better than no pace. That's for sure, dude.
Well, it seems like it's a rapid pace for Stevie. Like he just refuses to stay down for this. Like he sold a lot more in his wrestling career than he did for this debilitating injury / virus / everything. And to be honest, like when I first heard about all this stuff going down, I couldn't even worry because I just was like, oh, Stevie's got this. He's got this. Like I just couldn't worry. And then even when I found out the stuff that had happened, I was like, he's still got this. I just I can't worry for Stevie because he's in that right mental place and he's got that focus. And he's got that support, with his wonderful wife, just like, I just couldn't worry for him, no matter how bad it sounded or how bad it was. So,
I got worried because it was touch and go there. And wanted to see him that week from a guy who's so strong, that absolutely shook me. But now you're right. He's back on the kick. And I had to slow him down. He's like, I'm getting the pick line out. I think on Sunday, which is 4 weeks ahead of when they schedule. So you're right. He's that strong. But then he's like, I think I'm going to start doing light resistance. I go, calm down, buddy. I know as soon as you get back in that gym, you're going to go way too hard. So I'm going to put the heat on him this week to regulate, to try and slow him down, but you can't slow him down. This was interesting. I don't know if you were in live or not, but I had a great time on Cafe de Rene with James and Rene Dupree and Paul London and Greek God Papadon on Friday. And they wanted to talk that conspiracy horseman-ish. And as soon as the podcast ended, it was pulled by YouTube for ass hook, Mandela effect, Vegas shooting, whatever you want to pin it on, or just that or
they were just like, this guy again? I thought we demonetized him and got rid of him. What's he doing here?
Exactly. And it was great conversation, man. It was cool hanging with Renee and Paul London. I really like their niche in the wrestling podcast space. I think they are, a little different than everybody else who's doing it as well. And I like their rapport. And I had a great time on there with GGP, but I even reached out to James, be like, hey, can I get the StreamYard version to put up on Vimeo on our paywall or Patreon? He's like, it's gone. So if you tuned in live, you got to see what I thought was a great show, and hopefully we have some crossover audience that seemed to enjoy it. The chat room was bumping over there. Some of the Hominions were in there hanging out as well, and hopefully we gained some new followers into the group. And subscribers. That's always what we would love to have. And you guys are the most hardcore subscribers here at 8:30 in the morning, getting ready for that wrestle talk to kick your week off. What is wrong with you? Let's do some self-analysis there. But I hope that they can get that video back. It was a great show, and I'd be happy to be on with them again anytime. And hopefully can have reciprocate and have Rene Dupree or Paul London join us maybe for a Friday locker room or even a conspiracy horseman down the road, because I know GGP's pumped and we get messages every day. You guys got to come back. The world's falling apart. We need you now more than ever. Well, I think they know that too. They being they. And that's why whatever they're watching right now, everyone wave to the CIA underground, whoever's in an office right now having to watch this, looking for code words and shit, but it's really just a phony wrestling show. Hope you have a good day too down there in Quantico, because what a shit job that is for somebody to watch all of HMG and Russo brand thinking that this shit is going off when we talk that truth. But I don't even think they're subscribers. So at least you guys could do over there at the NSA is pay $5. I know it's tax season. You can probably write it off, you cocksucker this expense. But pay up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'll monitor that situation as far as that show goes, because I usually listen. If I listen to Cafe de Rene, I listen to it in podcast form so I can do it on the go. So I'll see if that ever gets uploaded somehow, and I'll keep everyone informed.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man, if it's even available. But Bobo's throwing up those Bearcats for the CIA out there. Team Bearcat, we're in the fucking house, baby. Code word, Bearcat. But Vet, I wanna flip it to you for some declassified rants and shoots to kick off, because I know you're the vet. You're always listening, checking everybody's work, making sure everything's going on, and you listen to everything going on Russo Brand and plenty of other podcasts. But you say that you reached out to me saying I still don't think people got it right on the Cody finish with Reigns at WrestleMania, and I was very excited to hear your educated and alternative opinion, man. So I'll give the floor to you and let me know what you disagree with and what you think is going on.
Well, first and foremost, I looked at what people are saying, and you see a lot of people that are trying to like excuse the decision. Of course you are, and it's really like the stuff that I said on the Monday Locker Room last week and the Next Level Wrestling Review last week. I was talking a lot about the sort of like the business of it and what's going on in the company. And then hearing you talk about it, you were talking about the storytelling aspect of it, the creativity of it. And I thought that it was like, man, Ben and I have to come together and like really break this down so we can hear we can flesh out each other's points, but also like kind of shoot down some of the things that people are trying to say to try to excuse this. And I mentioned you were on the Locker Room with Strangler Steve, and I saw a clip, and this isn't anything about Strangler, because Strangler was making like the Rocky analogy, which lots of people have made those type analogies of like, pick your movie. I saw people try to use Lord of the Rings or whatever the hero has to fail before he can succeed type thing, which, like it just doesn't apply in this case, like it applies in general, but it doesn't apply in this case. Those things are scripted entertainment that is scripted from beginning to end. It's not like an ever-changing, ever-evolving committee of people that are like going with what the audience is, like J.R. Tolkien didn't write a book and then be like, oh, I'm changing the finish because we sold this many copies. Like it just doesn't work like that. They know the story and they get the start to finish. So it's not really just an apt comparison. So like, that's really what I wanted to talk about, is just really kind of like get into what happened, why it happened, how it happened, when it changed, and what could have been done instead. Because I feel like the reason that Cody had to win was not anything necessarily to do with Cody himself being the champion, which even though it was, because that's built into the story, and it goes back even further to the Dusty Rhodes, part of the story.
Yeah, I think what that whole underlying id is kids dream big and do it for your dad and do it for the tattoo and do it for the family, and then you can't do it. So don't dream big. Your dad's going to be disappointed in you, and your kids are going to watch you miss the biggest moment when you should have fucking hit the home run. Like, that hurts my neck. That hurts my neck.
Which is it's a fair point that you got to learn those things in life. But the difference is here.
That's why we have wrestling, so because everyone learns those all the time because life kicks the shit out of you. We want to live vicariously and see a win.
Right, especially in the WWE. Like, just go to your hometown and you'll learn a life lesson. So I'm just saying, like, but it's not just about what happens after. What happens after? John Hartnett, good point. The gambling, of course, we know probably whatever reasons were some sort of illicit reason. They weren't doing it for like the good of everybody, or because they were just having a creative genius moment or anything like that. It would have been. If they change it just to swerve people, then it's gratuitous. It's not because they had a real reason or a business reason other than obviously the gambling. But
But I'll say this: John Hartnett did bet on Roman Reigns. I know that for a fact, so he won.
Yeah, it was a good bet. But it doesn't really matter. Like Cody being the champion and people thinking about Cody going on to stay a champion, none of that matters. The only thing that mattered was that moment that night. And the only reason that that moment mattered is because the WWE has spent so many months presenting it to us like it was supposed to matter.
Right.
There were times that they could have gotten away from this and downplayed it and made it so that if you did want to make Cody have the longer journey, you know, the stumbles and the falls and stuff like that, they could have done it that way. But they didn't do it that way. They did it this way. And certain things changed at certain points in time, which made this have to be inevitable. Things like the Sami Zayn, you know, like the hot-shotting of Sami Zayn getting kicked out of the bloodline. It wasn't hot-shotting. I made the comment that they hot-shotted the whole Sami Zayn thing. I didn't mean, when I said that, I didn't mean the whole Sami Zayn thing, because that took months. I mean, the moment they finally accepted him in, they hot-shotted getting him out. So we didn't even...
The Sophie's Choice with when they had Owen strapped to the ropes, like the 3 weeks leading into that, like that's where the real hot shot happened. And we still had 3 more months to go of bits with Sammy endearing himself. All like that should have gone all the way up to Mania. The Owen stuff really should have happened closer to Mania than this. So no, I know exactly what you mean on that part of the story there. And them doing it makes you think that they got to get there to take everything off of the bloodline and get Cody over and Owens and Sammy over for Babies Up at Mania. Instead, we leave with a strange split confusion.
Right. And you were making the point of when you, and we're going to bounce around all over this because I can't, you know, there's no way to keep it straight. It's like it's like a tangled, it's like a, you know, it's like a ball of yarn or whatever that got all tangled up. But yeah, you were saying how now we're missing what we get with Roman after the fall. Like we're not getting that story. We're not getting that creative. Roman plus 280 stunk to high heaven. Yeah, there you go, John. So you were saying we're missing out on that. And that's another one of the reasons why it was so important that this had to happen, because Roman.
I was just getting. I have actual footage of John Hartnett's Easter celebration yesterday. If you guys didn't know, there he is on the as the left. You see the one with one ear? Is he coming up? No. Okay.
Oh, all right. Actual footage. That's what you got. You got to be here if you're in the CIA. You got to be here on the locker room to see this stuff.
Here's one for the CIA. Some declassified, some MMA fighters you might know. Okay, that's a quick flash.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest reasons why that this was so important to do it correctly was because these guys, not only do they have a limited shelf life just in terms of your wrestling life, but they're not going to get any more over at this point. Right. Roman Reigns cannot be any more over until he leaves wrestling completely.
What muscle does Cody have to rip off of his body and wrestle with in order to get more empathy and get more over? Right.
And that's that's another aspect to it.
Sure.
Cody, you know, I wasn't like, you know, I was surprised that even bringing back Cody with a big flourish at last year's WrestleMania, you know, because of the WWE, the way they historically treat people that have gone, you know, out on their own, and they always want to bring them back and make it seem like it's going to be a big deal, and then they like to cut the legs out from him, and you know, he'll be Stardust in 6 months, is what everybody was saying, right? Before the Pexer.
McIntyre suffered that.
Yep.
Most fucking
still paying.
Yep.
Yeah, that up to and including carrying the Andre the Giant Battle Royal trophy out, struggling to breathe.
You know, that's motherfucker when Bobby Lashley can't carry it. That thing's got to be 225, right, bro. Holy fuck.
Yeah, they're still ribbing those guys, but yeah. So you look at that, and I wasn't sure, but the whole thing was they made me believe over time. I haven't been the biggest Cody Rhodes fan, not necessarily personally because I barely knew him, but professionally, I just haven't enjoyed his career as much, just because it always seemed like a little tone deaf and weird, especially all the AEW stuff was just weird, missing the point on a lot of stuff, missing the boat on a lot of stuff. And so, like, I just wasn't convinced. But everything that they did, he did, Paul Heyman did, I mean, they convinced me that it was the right time. And you're not going to get this. Here's a good way to, like, really open up the dialogue between us. Who could be a bigger person than somebody whose dad is Dusty Rhodes, okay, that has this built-in story, and that has just the whole legacy of everything from the hero's journey, really starting from, when we met him in OVW, and then all the way up to leaving the company, coming back, but then tearing his pec off, like you said, and doing all this. Like, those are the stumbling blocks that people are talking about. Like, this is not a stumbling block. This was the end. This was the destiny. Yeah. They're the ones that painted this picture. All we did was look at it, and then you yanked it off the wall and tore it up. That's not our fault. But they already painted the beautiful picture.
You're right. And you said we can choose any movie analogy you want. And I was thinking about this after the fact, and he's not here to, rebut me, but Strangler Steve had great points on the Friday locker room, and there's 1,000 ways to do things, right? And what they want to. However, I think that they missed the biggest moment, and we can both agree on that and that payoff. But I'm going to go to the Rocky analogy, and I just watched, based on Russo's recommendation, the documentary of Rocky of Stallone during COVID, recutting Rocky 4. Mm-hmm. And he goes through and makes some points, and I didn't want to step on Strangler with this, but the way Strangler lays it out, it is Rocky, but he had the order wrong. So in Rocky 1, it's Rocky wants to show
go the distance
that he's not a bum,
not right? A bum from the streets.
That's Cody being a bum as Stardust and leaving to go to AEW to start his own thing and saying we can do it and I'm going to smash the throne or whatever. Part 2 is, he has to overcome and come back. That is him coming back to WWE and going over in Hell in the Cell with the torn pec. Right. Part 3 is the vicious Clubber Lang that he's got to go over to retain his integrity and da-da-da. So all the heat they got on him leading up to that point, verbally, more than physically, and mentally, this is Mr. T won. Mr. T is the motherfucking champ still, even though Mr. T had the belt before, yada, yada, he's not, we can say that. But this guy climbed the mountain and got smoked by the dragon, bro. And there's no way to dust yourself off and go, I'm going up higher to fight 2 dragons. And when I beat them, it'll be we missed the main moment, bro. Go ahead.
So that's it. That's exactly it. What are you going to do for the people that are saying?
I mean, Moxley's not going to, Punk's not going to understand any of this. So if you're listening, go watch the Rockies. Go ahead.
That's the most heat Punk ever had me when he said he never watched a Rocky movie. But so anyway, okay, so for the people that are thinking like, oh, this is just Cody's gonna, and he's gonna go through Brock and he's gonna become strong. It's like, what is he gonna say to sell another match with Roman Reigns? Is he gonna come out and say, hey, my dad is still Dusty Rhodes and I still have a destiny and I still have, is he just gonna repeat everything that he emotionally went out there and just poured his heart out to everybody, just gonna do it again? Are we gonna sit through that again? And furthermore, if he doesn't do it, who is going to do it? That's going to have that. Who do they even have? Who do they even, not even who do they have? Who do they not, who could they get? Because people throw that name like The Rock or whatever out there, like as somebody like, oh, you mean the guy that's already been the champion a bunch of times and left this godforsaken business to go do well for himself? And you think he's going to come back here and slum with you just to win a fake belt from his cousin or whatever? Like, what's the story there? How would that be more satisfying or cathartic than... Yeah, and again, it's not about Cody, but it is. It's only about Cody because he has that legendary father. And I'm afraid Dustin Rhodes is probably not going to come back and do this angle again either.
Isn't that the only thing they could do is to bring Dustin to help prop this up? But not him beat Roman Reigns. No, just be the Han Solo. You're all clear, kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But I got to disagree with Frank here. He's saying Cody was a privileged kid, dude. In '95, they had that promo was a shoot. They had no money in the bank, and at all. Dusty would do commercials to get a car, not from a place, and they were living hand to mouth, bro. And Heyman helped them out big by bringing them to ECW, and then. I'm telling you right now, Cody didn't live in some, penthouse or condo that the rest of the boys didn't live in OVW. He was as broke of a 20-year-old college student as you could fucking get. Like, he had a little extra maybe to when we went out, he wasn't footing the bill, but when Punk and Mercury came to town and those guys, they'd take the boys who really had nothing, not a pot to piss in, and they'd split the check for 20, 30 guys, and they weren't flush with stacks of cash. So everything that guys earned, and probably the thousands and thousands of dollars that he's invested in his gear came out of his pocket. It wasn't until he could get his hands in Tony Khan's pockets to get the bus and get everything that he wanted set up. So I'm sorry, but my personal experience with Cody Rhodes is definitely not that of a spoiled kid. And in fact, not a daddy's boy, because during his go-home speech, when he got called up to the road, he stood in front of everybody and say, yeah, you're Dusty Rhodes' kid, and I get that, and said to me a lot, and you're Dustin's brother. But he goes, I tell everybody, these are the two guys who trained me right here, Robert Gibson, Al Snow, and Danny Davis too. And, that was the shoot. The kid showed up. In fact, Baltimore posted on his Twitter a fan thing that somebody sent him for, I think, like May, maybe, or March, 14th, 16th, just saw new talent at OVW house show. And it was 2 weeks before I moved there. I was at that show to watch Cody's first match in OVW at a house show. And, there wasn't no extra privilege given, and the match sucked, and as it should have, So
yeah.
That's just something like the give it to him nepotism wise. The only thing that really is resounding with that is the Rhodes name and legacy. But when it comes to working man, even though Dusty might have had those pimp jackets, he didn't have stacks that he was sitting on. Probably not till they hired him in NXT, where he was actually comfortable for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, and besides all that, even if he was the privileged kid, that's not the character that he's playing right now. That's not the character they sold us on. That's not the one that was able to get people invested and believe in it if they didn't before. I mean, remember, we're talking about me. Like, I'm buying it you're selling it to me, I'm buying it. Like, okay. And I notoriously, and everybody in this chat that's listened to me knows that I've not been like glowing praise about Cody Rhodes for the past 2 years or whatever it's been. I'm just being honest. So when they can sell me on it, and it's the WWE, might I add, which they don't sell me on shit because everything they do is phoned in and lazy. So when there's effort,
bloodline and Mysterio, that's what with, yeah,
right. And I have my own issues with the Mysterio thing, but besides that, the bloodline, they've got me invested in that. So when they get me invested in that, and that's the only good piece of business that they're doing, then if anytime they deviate from that, it really is very annoying because you see all the missed opportunities of the things that could have happened. And like I said, there were some along the way. Now, like if you had not done what you did with Sami Zayn, you could have sidetracked Cody so that he somehow missed this Mania or something. And you could have kept the bloodline going with Sami involved as like one of the true Usos, cohorts. You could have played that out for even longer, maybe to another WrestleMania.
They found the game of doubt Sami proves it with his actions. We had that game.
Right.
We could have played that out 4 or 5 more ways where he saves Heyman, he saves Reigns again, he lays down on the train tracks to take the bullet in a different way from Brock. You know what I mean? There was a lot of game. There was a lot of meat left on that bone.
We want people, especially these days in wrestling, we want people to think, oh shit, maybe Sami just is in this group now and he's not going to get kicked out, because we were already expecting it and they gave it to him right away. So they could have done.
We really needed Owens and Sami in a blood feud while Sami was in the group before he ever slipped out.
Yes, you need all that stuff. And if you wanted to do that and prolong that, then yes, you could have done something where Cody doesn't end up in that main event shot. It could have been
you run him and Seth back for until SummerSlam.
right. Okay. And taking it back. That was the first mistake they made with Cody, is putting him over Seth with that, busted pec. That was a huge mistake, because not only did you not get sympathy for Cody Rhodes when he needed sympathy the most, and looking at him and seeing that visual of that purple, like half purple body and all this gross stuff, and you needed that sympathy for him, and him getting like run over and squashed in a Hell in a Cell match by Seth Rollins, who had I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna kill you, and kills him. That makes his comeback more. That makes Seth Rollins the vicious heel that he needs to be. Instead, you just effectively killed Seth Rollins. You said, this guy can't even beat a one-armed man, literally. So how am I supposed to take you seriously for anything you do? Yeah. And all Seth Rollins is now is a fan chant. He's not he's no longer a serious competitor. He's no longer interesting. He has zero dimensions to his character. Seth Rollins is deader than he's ever been since he was in FCW. Probably
he's laughing all the way to the bank because all he's got to do is walk out.
No, exactly. No. From the worker perspective, Seth Rollins is fine, but we're talking about the creative aspect and what are you going to do to make money as the WWE with Seth Rollins? If all you need is the fans to sing along. Okay, we'll see, but is that leaving a lot of stuff on the table? I would guess so, because you can have it both ways. You can have Seth Rollins be a serious main event threat, and you can also have him doing fan chants. It's not like a choice you have to make, but you've reduced him to a clown because he couldn't beat a one-armed man. So now when people are like, oh, Seth Rollins could be the one to come back and beat Roman because, Roman's never beat Seth Rollins in a title match and all this. It's like, it doesn't matter. Seth Rollins is dead. They killed him. It's over. Forget it. That's done. So that was their first mistake that hurt both him and Cody.
You should trademark that. I could see Seth Rollins as dead as his new thing. You know what I mean?
Seth Rollins is dead.
That's
Seth dead ass Rollins. It's got a double meaning. But yeah, so that right there, let's look at what you did too with and going back to Seth, that brings up another point with Cody. By Cody not winning at WrestleMania, what have you set the table for any other wrestlers to do now? Let's go. Can we go down a list of potential people to dethrone Roman Reigns now? Can you name one that even?
Yeah, I mean they've been through McIntyre. You got McIntyre, Lashley, and Brock. That's your top three that look like, larger than life action figure studs that can give Roman a run. Now, none of them have anything emotional attached to them.
Also McIntyre's used up. He had his chance, and what was the other? Brock basically they did that with Brock so many times that they said they put that stipulation saying never again. So that can't happen.
This clears the way for Doudrop to have a top tier run right here is what I'm thinking about. I think this is her time. Johnny Gargano, we've got some people saying in the chat here now, Gargano's time. Man, Big Stevie Cool's in the house this morning. Good morning, pal. Good to see you rocking and rolling. Johnny Hartnett and everybody 41 strong right now, watching live Ben Hameen YouTube channel on a Monday morning. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend, and I'm so happy the vet's here with us to co-captain, co-host, co-chair the Monday Locker Room. Vet, let me throw this back to you because we've talked the Cody side of it, and you hear this stupid phrase in Marks from AEW who think scores of wrestling matches matter. They don't, but wins and losses matter. Mm-hmm. They do. Not in unless you're 200-0 or 0-200 and you need a win. But here we have the Usos losing to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens like they should have. Right. And that should have been enough of a catalyst to make Roman a little shaky on his foundation. Mm-hmm. We have 1,000 days looming over Roman's head. And if Cody goes over, he now robs Roman of that. And a great heel needs a true id that drives them insane. For Ben Hameen, 9/11 truth, what have you, war in Iraq, Guantanamo Bay, the list goes on. You know, for that, then when that loss happens and he doesn't hit his 1,000 days, now we get to see an entirely unleashed big dog, the tribal chief going completely nomadic and has to get his tribe back together to convince them or put heat on them. And they've got to train and they've got to get revenge in a way that is not going up the mountain. It's Taliban in the mountain style shit, bro. And it's sabotage and it's viciousness and it's damn near murder. And who gives a fuck about matches? This is about me trying to kill you. That's where we needed to take Roman. And without that loss, now the top heel has no new id to drive him. He just sits at the top of the mountain and wait till they build somebody and I get to 1,000 days. Well, that's not going to mean shit. Because it's a phony title and you've had it for so long. And robbing you of the 1,000 days is the fucking story. Not having it for that long or surpassing Italian
Bruno Sammartino, 6 years.
Yeah, you know,
6 years. Who cares about 1,000 days?
Yeah, you're not going to get there for some little like caveat for fucking all the internet dorks to go, 22-1 like Taker or 1,000 days, so they can spit out this little fucking stupid statistic, bro. That's the biggest miss. In getting Cody there, he was already there as the hero. He just needed to stick the sword in the dragon and twist that motherfucker. And now, you know, that should have been the dragon falling down the mountain, and you think he's dead, but in the end, we hear fucking, you know, going away to some other place to regroup, and they missed all of that, bro. And that's where the biggest loss in creative, and it's not because once you've got the hero at the top of the mountain, it's easy to make another heel to knock them down. That part's fucking way easy. This shit, they fucked that up big time, bro, and there's no way to recapture that.
There isn't. And the other thing too, it's like, as far as the conversation of Roman can't be more over, like Roman changed his status in the company, and what you can do with the character doesn't change at all whether he's holding those two belts or not. That's all still on the table, whether he's the champion. And for Cody, technically, it really doesn't matter what happens to him after that. He could lose the belt to Rick Boogs on Raw the next night for all anybody cares, because it was the moment.
Damn right, he could, pal. It's
That's right.
Boogs. He can beat anybody.
Boogs.
Goddamn, get him. Go get him.
Yeah, that part's not important, what happens after Cody. It doesn't matter if Cody has a long reign or if Cody is the face of the company or if Cody is anything. The only thing that mattered was Cody had that moment so that Roman can have all that stuff that you're talking about. Now, what sounds better to you as a heel, Ben? You talking shit to your cousins for losing their championships when you retained, or you talking shit to your cousins for losing their championships when you didn't retain your championship?
Yeah,
what's the bigger asshole move? Who's the bigger heel for doing that? Who's the to be an irredeemable heel, you cannot have any sort of like sympathy or like anybody to relate to you. Like you can't have that thing like, well, Roman's the champ, so he gets to do what he wants. No, he's got to be irrational. Like, I'm even more mad at everybody else for failing, and I'm not going to acknowledge my failure.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to get the kind of heat that you really need if you want to take him to another level. Do that hiding in the mountains, you know, scorched earth stuff that you're talking about, and you're laying out for that whole creative, which could last months, if not years, because there are bigger things than being the champion. If you've already been the champion for so long, you can wait a little bit before you go after it again. Now you're starting to like, you know what, this whole place needs to be restructured. You know, who's really running this thing here? I don't care who's got little pencil thin mustaches around here. I'm Roman Reigns. Like that kind of story.
Where you bring in Brandy and Liberty, and he's trying to kill Cody. He's not trying to just get his belt back. He blows up the bus. You know what I mean?
He's driving forklifts just like people did to him. He learned all the tricks.
Yeah, all that shit, man. You know what I mean? They brand the tribal brand over his tattoo. They hold him down and brand him. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's way above and beyond to put true fear and nothing about that and besmirch the legacy of Dusty.
Mhm.
And that's
And meanwhile, meanwhile,
yeah.
What are the Usos doing and what are Sammy and Kevin doing? Because they're still tied into this. Like maybe they're not in. Maybe the Usos are not feeling this plan. Maybe they don't want to be part of this anymore. It really is the perfect time to have ended the bloodline based on the steps that they chose to make. Especially with the, it's funny too, because when Sammy was getting ready to, they got Sammy really hot there for Elimination Chamber, and people were realistically trying to talk about him winning the championship, which I said, not a universe, there's not a world in this universe where Sammy wins the championship on that night, because that's part of Cody's story too. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So that's where now you've got all that stuff built in that you did, that now it's Jay is like, hey, I'm done with this. I was the first one to get put under this tyrannical rule, and I've been in under the longest, and I don't want to do it anymore. And I don't think I should do it anymore, because what's in it for me? I already lost everything. I can't get any lower than I am now. So why am I going to help? Why am I going to help him get back to something that he already had for something that I already had? Yeah. There's so much stuff that you can actually do and really be making compelling television. But we don't get that now, because they can try to do a little bit of it, but it's not nearly as much.
No, the only thing I can think they could even come close to saving it is if Raw or SmackDown was on night 999 and Cody beats him there one day shy of it. Like gets the match in one day shy of it. They do a TV
still
title.
Won't be nearly as close.
No, definitely not near. I'm just trying to how can we still rob him to send him into that trajectory? You know what I mean? To be the next level heel. So yeah, miss, and Bet, you, as always, you make brilliantly logical and well thought out points, and that's why you're the goddamn vet around here. And we could talk around this of possibilities for 2-3 hours. It's innumerable, and it's not a bad problem to have, because they did a damn good job at regaining storyline and creative, probably thanks to Paul Heyman and Rey Mysterio, not anybody on staff, really, to be honest with you, to get this to where it needed to be. Did we hot shot a lot of stuff and leave a lot of meat on the bone? Absolutely. But we found out games and how to play them out, and really that it was all about relationships and trust and betrayal and friendship. No moves. Not a spear don't mean shit, a haluva kick don't mean shit, a stunner don't mean shit. Relationships, emotion, that means everything in writing TV and what we're doing. The moves tied to them at the right time is when at the moment means something in the physical action, or missing it, or somebody cutting it off and then getting heat. So they did. I usually they get 10% allegedly on the ideas they're given. I'd say they got 70% out of this, and then at WrestleMania, 30%. You know what I mean, in the payoff, which is very unfortunate. So, yeah, there's no the roads they went down are never going to be as good as the high road that they should have done and paid it off on. Then there's
that's the whole thing, Ben. This being in entertainment your whole life and everything that you've learned, that essentially everything that we care about, and when we're looking for, dramatic entertainment, it's a setup and a payoff. You set something up and then you pay it off. The idea of paying it off is you get the highest amount that you can for it, whether that's emotional resonance, whatever, money, whatever it is. Your payoff is your payoff, and that's where you're supposed to go.
Watch, well, this is old, the reference, but like Die Hard, John McClane's going the fuck over. He's not just going to lose and get smoked at the end and Nakatomi Plaza and the terrorists get the fuck away, dude.
Right.
It's how we know at WrestleMania it should be babies up on the hero's journey we've watched for everybody. It's how you are going to play it out that entertains us, where the swerve is in the finish, but we still get the psychological, my time was worth it. And we watch the hero that I live vicariously through get the payoff. My life's a little better because instead we got none of that, and Slick already did things. And now kind of got a salty taste in their fucking mouth about it.
Yeah, and even if you prefer Roman to Cody, which a lot of people do, and I do, I prefer what Roman's been doing more than what Cody's been doing, but it's not about that. It's about what now, I've been robbed of what more Roman can do in the storyline wise. I don't care if he holds the belt. I care about what they're doing on the television show. So that's where even the people that are happy that Cody lost because they're just laughing at him, from the entertainment aspect of it, they're still losing in the long run, because that would only have been Cody as champion would have only been a fleeting thing anyway. They would have definitely took the belt off him within a year. But I mean, now you're missing out on all the cool stuff that you could have watched Roman do, that now he's just going to keep, treading water. Like he's
going
has
to keep
been.
sitting in a VIP room, and I say this wise, man. I said, nah, dude.
Seafood on the plane.
He needs. Yeah, exactly. Oh shit. Well, let me ask this one.
Hold on, we're at the mercy of Spectrum here for a second. Well, hold on, I gotta wait for Ben to catch up.
Check once.
It's kind of rough, guys. So we're just, it's the Spectrum curse. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to repeat all that because I didn't get any of it.
Hello.
All right, we'll give him dongs. We'll try and track here. Just trying to stop all here. So I'm gonna say, kind of as a closer on here, where they've punished people for doing less, and how much of this do you think figured into smashing the Triple H throne in A? There's some that worked in. As petty as it is, we've seen them do worse. You know what I mean?
It's got to be a significant amount that figures into that, because why else would you make such an effort only to completely miss the boat? Like, it's so obvious. And you can't tell me that as much as these guys fuck up, whether it's because they're cutting off their nose to spite their face or just because they're that incompetent. We've seen both, plenty of both. You can't, why else would you do such a wonderful build? I mean, Ben, these guys didn't even touch. They didn't even bump into each other once during the build of this. How often does that happen? How many matches on this WrestleMania were sold by people brawling outside the ring 10 times before they actually had a normal wrestling match?
They did it in both of it. Here's the thing. There's only two things that really mattered in all of WrestleMania, and that was the Bloodline and Ray and Dom. And that Ray and Dom didn't touch till Ray laid him out on SmackDown before me. I hit him with the first strike right before that. So that goes to show the tension builds and mounts is everything in how we build these storylines. The smashing of the Triple H throne, you don't get over on the McMahons. Yeah, there had to be a little.
So it had to play something into it. But I mean, even so, you brought the guy in, you're paying him, you're giving him all these amenities and things that he wants, and he's still in the main event, whether he wins or not. The payoff was the same payoff. So, he like Seth Rollins laughing all the way to the bank, because on his end, that part is still good, but it's not just about that. Like, that's for them to worry about. For us, for just the people watching and the further business to increase everybody's bottom line, then it's time to stop. It's time to stop with this and actually try to run a business. You can only fudge the figures. You can only fudge the figures so much. You can only move things around so much. You can only try to institute gambling so that you can commit fraud so much before people will just, you're gonna get exposed eventually that you're not making the amount of money that you claim you are. I said this on Wednesday when I was talking to Ray, because he asked me about we were talking about the same kind of thing. And I said, you know, in terms of like how much money the WWE is making and how much this deal that they've just got done. And I said, the price of a Hot Pocket's higher than it's ever been too, but the recipe's the same. You know?
That's a great point. That's a great point. Matt.
Everything else goes up in price, and then you're talking about setting records? Like, I'm not impressed.
What killed me a little bit, and that's not killed me, but with the Endeavor deal, $9.3 billion. And I gotta, you know, I thought the Saudis were going over because their pockets are deeper. I bet the Saudis would have paid $12 billion. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the 77-year-old psychopath that runs this shit and wanting a spot and left probably $3 billion more on so he could retain. And Ari Emanuel, I don't care if he's known Vince for 20, 25 years. He has no idea the carnies that they're playing with. And to have the family still in power under this, for me, that's just a closed door, and I still got to find a way to go over the wall and you know, tunnel underneath to do what I need to do. And that's the worst thing you can have in this industry is hope. Hopeful that these assholes were going to actually be gone and that we could actually get to doing Sopranos level, The Wire level writing in business. But they've got a death grip stranglehold on it. So my only in now is to get to Ari, which let's just say there's probably somebody in the chat room within 1 degree of separation to help make that happen.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who that could possibly be.
Become his priest and fucking smarten him up to all the bullshit that they're going to send Bruce and Heyman to tell him, or that Vince is. Even in that Vince sit down with Ari where Ari's talking about the flywheel and synergy, and Vince has no fucking idea what synergy or a flywheel is in these bullshit marketing terms that are coming out of every Fortune 500.
If he's going to use marketing buzzwords, can he use something from this millennium and it's not like, synergy? Like,
yeah, and yeah, exactly. To me, that was like brand value. Oh, okay, all right. That he still does. He's sitting right next to the devil, and you don't even know what the fuck is going on, bro. So that's about the only other way in, and it sucks because I like to do covert op fucking shit. I'm good at it, allegedly, and but I'd rather be the guy who fucking steps out of the shadows and is able to take this to where we want it to be, for all the right reasons, without any throne smashing. Get your kid on the show to blow out his quad, and fucking who buried me on Twitter while I paid off $20 million for pussy. They all got payback coming, and that's the fucking main MO instead of doing the best show and best creative for the audience that's watching. Like that frustrates me, and it's because I hung my hat on just this much hope and fucking gone. You know what I mean? So
what's interesting is you were able to, you know, for the longest time you had Vince McMahon, and the analogy was, you know, these are his toys that he's playing with from his toy box, you know, in his backyard or whatever, so he can do what he wants. Well, you know, now somebody else bought the house. So it's, even though he's running those operations or whatever, now somebody actually has, you know, something to say about it, like something real to say. This is no longer, you know, I'm not saying that they will, but it's a possibility now that people won't stand for that anymore. And it's also, like I brought up before too, the first very real possibility that, you know, the WWE can just get shuttered out of nowhere. Like if it's deemed too much of a liability rather than an asset. I'm not saying it's likely, but WCW had a nice run too, till they got purchased.
It's interesting that, because this is another reason why I'm so glad you're here today. Not just because I always enjoy our time together, even though I'm slightly scared of you. Whatever. Strangler Steve put this over on the Friday locker room with the Triple H announcements on Monday and Friday, and then on SmackDown his weird second announcement of there's going to be a draft and everybody's eligible. I don't know why I'm doing Vince's voice. There's going to be a draft and everybody's eligible, or, you know, whatever the fuck.
That might be better than your Vince.
Yeah, and Nikki Bella came out and goes, everybody's eligible, you guys. And so Strangler Steve put over, he goes, he thinks NXT is going to be cut, and you're our next level expert here. And if Ari is taken over, you know.
We are in control now.
We got Jews in the house.
You know, that a $45 million loss leader developmental program on the sheets is, whoa, that's an easy cut right there. Especially if WWE doesn't have to worry about finding new stars and it's on Endeavor's dime. And this was a $40 million to $45 million a year loss leader of NXT, training nil talent that has nil idea about what they're doing. You know, and now even a hiring freeze we're hearing as well. Do you think NXT could be on the chopping block after this draft where they bring up Braun Breaker, X amount of other talent that you deem worthy vet, and then everybody else is gone?
Well, if I just sat here and said it's a possibility that WWE could be cut on the chopping block, then certainly I would have to think that NXT's on the table too. But at the same time, you know, okay, so no more NXT. Then what do you do with the Performance Center? Just sell that off and raise it to the ground? Like, what do you do?
Right?
It's a warehouse that's built for a very specific purpose with a lot of useful stuff in it. Like,
think about that WrestleMania set, Vet. I bet that WrestleMania set costs more than all of NXT, and they only use that for fucking 2 days.
Right. So what's $45 million to somebody that's going to overpay for, you know, buying the entire thing? I don't think they'd even see it.
Yeah,
for people at this level of money. Yeah,
45 million of 9.3 billion. What percentage? Somebody do that math for me real quick, because I think that's less than.
Yeah, what percentage
is
of the 0.3?
Yeah, the 0.3. Right. So, you know, Stevie says though he's looking for a new gym space.
Shit.
So maybe Stevie over at the Performance Center. You stay
Let's,
away from those guys.
I think you might want to think about that crowdfunding then if you want to get to $45 million.
Yeah. You better get in the pool with your water wings on. I don't want to even see you touching resistance bands today. You take it easy, you son of a bitch. You goddamn son of a bitch. But man.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff is on the table, off the table. We don't know, and that's the funniest thing about all this is, you know, with this merger, with this buyout, whatever, nobody knows anything. Nobody, literally nobody. Not Endeavor doesn't know what they're going to do. They have no idea what they're going to do. The WWE doesn't know what Endeavor's going to do. You know, like everybody's going to wait and find out at the same time. There's no inside information. There's nothing. Like, we don't know anything because they're all just like, I don't know. We're rich and dumb. What are we doing? That's how billionaires work.
Yeah, Dana says, no, they're going to be two completely separate things. Oh, okay. You watch Conor McGregor and Colby Covington and a couple others not make it two completely separate things. And so every little speech we've had where it's an absolute of we're going nowhere. If I was in NXT right now, I'd be like, oh, okay, how long is left on my lease? How do I get out of here? Because there's going to be a lot of people going somewhere, and it ain't going to be to the main roster, bro. It's going to be to the indies or AEW, hopefully. Whoever's going to be first out. I bet if anybody was smart enough, but they're probably all in the bubble, they should be back channeling right now for a spot over there. And with the hiring freeze, it's interesting because there's been talk of Omega jumping ship. There was talk of FTR, Brian Cage, somebody else I can't remember as well.
Who the Brian Cage?
Yeah,
who gives a fuck about Brian Cage?
Nobody, but they were going to probably hire him to bring him in. You know,
I don't know. Why would they want that?
Hiring freeze, and then that there's also talk that Asuka posting things like maybe I should go back to Japan. Drew McIntyre hasn't signed a new contract and is bumped out and kind of pissed off. We heard Charlotte's taking time off. Aleister Black and Andrade want back in. That could be hiring freeze. No. There was a couple other. I mean, Bobby Lashley obviously pissed off about his spot. Does Drew pick the pockets of Tony Khan and headline that Wembley show? And I'd do it versus Harry Smith if I had fucking 2 cents in my head. Yeah, man, there's a lot of like strange caveats right here with this bio, but I think you're right on that. Everyone went out there and did their little marketing lip service promo and we'll settle it in the ring. No, I'm done. Are you sure you're done? 77? No, I'm not getting back in the ring. Until next time.
Until next time.
Yeah. So
yeah, like when he said, like when they asked him, why'd you do it? And he said, it's time. Like, oh, is this like it's time when you tweeted that you were going to retire? Like, is it that it's time, or is it a different, is it in your house it's time? Like, which it's time is it?
I did see this, Vet. We've got a new phrase that we're going to coin here on the Monday Locker Room as we're talking about everyone on that gas mask stand, B12 advice. You know, I saw a headline meme, I think, the other day in the Hameen Media discussion group that said Major League Baseball has more home runs hitting because of global warming. because of climate change, not global warming, because of climate change, we're allowed to now hit more home runs. I don't know if that's the friction on the ball or whatever. So now B12.
You notice it's been a lot windier lately in places all around the country and the world, so maybe they're carrying those balls a little further over the fence.
That could be it, but you know, he's on that climate change. That's going to be
that climate change. I guarantee you, Vince McMahon has never seen Brian Cage in his life.
Well, he hired him for FCW for a little while, but
Vince didn't.
Well, yeah,
Vince McMahon didn't.
Ace did, but yeah, man, it'll be interesting for NXT. You think thumbs up or thumbs down? They're going to cut him.
I'm just, it's like I'm like 51% thumbs down. They won't cut him.
Okay.
I don't see. It's still valuable. It's still valuable, but they're just not getting like everything they're doing. They're just throwing money away, and they're so if they tighten the purse strings and get their shit together and make it more efficient and bring that cost down a little bit, then NXT is extremely valuable. If they keep going the way they've been going, where they think that their main objective is to provide 2 hours of content for USA Network every week, yeah, you can go ahead and cut that shit because it ain't working. Trust me, I watch it every week.
A little sidebar news, not from wrestling, just an alert here. Obviously, a city we're very familiar with and still have a lot of friends with, and I have in-laws there. Shooting just popped. This from Mose, our man Greg Mosier in Louisville. Shooting just popped off in downtown Louisville. Dude walked into Old National Bank by Slugger Field, shot 4 to 6 people. All dead, 2 to 3 injured, officer shot, et cetera, et cetera. I believe they took him out, but that's all just happened in the last 10 minutes, man. So,
is this a robbery or?
I don't know, man. Just to walk into a bank and start whacking people out seems something's very different than give me the money and it goes sideways. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just my own speculation from watching Heat. But not to make light, man, but shout out to all my family and friends there and that whole city. As it all falls down, you guys, you got to be just aware of our surroundings, and I'm not trying to prison planet you more than we already are, but you never know when shit's going down with people who can't handle this advancing reality that we live in, and a constant fear and toxicity that's being fed to us to divide us, and a lot of people are unstable. So protect your family. I'm not saying weaponry wise or anything like that. Just let's have an exit plan and let's be smart and minimize risks where we can in places that could turn dangerous very quickly. But it seems at this day and age, any place from the grocery store to the bank was our Leave It to Beaver lifestyle at one time is now duck and cover. So let's be smart. But again, all love to Louisville and all of our friends and family out there.
Yep.
Oh, man. Thanks a lot.
Some headlines today? Got some headlines today? That wrestling headlines?
Yeah. Mojo Rawley recalls one of his pitches being rejected mid-sentence. Dean Mussani shared a little bit about his time in WWE while he was wrestling in the promotion as Mojo Rawley and pitching. He revealed on Twitter that he pitched Raw Dogs as a name for for his fans. When I was wrestling as Mojo Rawley, I made a pitch to name my following Raw Dogs. I would come to the ring and say, "Where my Raw Dogs at?" The pitch was declined before I could even finish the sentence, Rope.
That means whoever he pitched it to knew what that phrase meant.
But it meant, but I kind of like that though, to be honest with you. If it's on, you like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's
no.
Compared to
now Mojo Rawley's a good example of a guy that, you know, just prime example of, you know, during peak NXT, they had a guy and they just had absolutely no idea what they had. Like, I'm talking about the rift or the disconnect between what goes on in the developmental portion and what goes up on Raw and SmackDown with the guys that are actually in WWE, and how there's no interplay between the two. Like, they don't recognize what people are doing. So when I saw Mojo Rawley, he had the get hype gimmick. You know, that's how he came in. He's a football player, get hype. A lot of quick, you know, high impact matches. But he was good for like an ex-football player. So like, he had an aptitude because he's clearly a wrestling fan. He's a little annoying, but I could see how, you know, this is where we sometimes, I think, been like, not just you and I, but I try to keep this mindset, but like a lot of other wrestling pundits from the dirt sheet guys and whatever, forget that, you know, there are expected to be kids in the audience, right? So they've got to have somebody that they enjoy that maybe the adults wouldn't enjoy as much. And Mojo Rawley seemed like a really fun character that could beat guys up. So he wouldn't be too lame for like the adults, but he's also, you know, getting the kids into it and getting the energy level up. And I think he would grow on people after a while.
He's a great gear shift with that Ultimate Warrior blast of energy.
Yeah,
got heels
very
over.
similar to that. Very similar to that. And of course, what happens? They don't get it, don't like him, turn him heel, because that's what they do whenever they think somebody's not getting over. They're like, well, if they're gonna boo you, might as well be on purpose. And they turn him heel. He did those weird promos in the mirror that never went anywhere. I'm sure he was gonna do good with whatever they had for him, but ultimately they would rather have Rob Gronkowski featured than him. You know, he's like the side character in that whole thing. And he could have been something, but they just really weren't into like marketing. They just didn't have that vision. You know, the vision that we always give credit to Vince McMahon for having. I have a vision. You know, like, you don't see anything. You had this layup right here, and you know, I'm not saying it was the greatest ever, but I could see his worth even as a non like disinterested party. Like, I could still be like, yeah, I could see how he could sell a lot of merch. They don't get it.
Man. They miss on these guys all the time, and a guy like Boogs is kind of in the same danger zone right now of go in front of the mirror and paint yourself like broken glass, walking on broken paths. Do they just have to have like one Jack Buffoon at all times, like on their payroll? Is that like a requirement or something? I just don't understand, man. Like, they look good. They're right out of the factory property. You put them through the whole program and you get no fucking payoff from them. And the Raw Dogs thing, sure, it's funny for the sexual connotation of banging without a condom or whatever, but Raw, if on the show Raw, it would be getting Raw over, and then you just got to have the cool dogs thing on there. Now it might have gotten shut down because no, Roman's the big dog, but the Raw dogs and doing the Arsenio getting all that shit over again, bro. That's an easy, like you said, crowd interaction. Hit him with the one pounce. What's brother from Impact with the pounce, the football player?
Monty Brown, the alpha male.
Thank you. Yeah, Monty Brown was the same goddamn match. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's all you had to do. And then the Raw Dogs slap hands, go sell some shirts, and then get them out there for the fan experience, bro. Like, that's a nice spot to be in, you know? So a miss, another goddamn miss. They're talking about Logan Paul. We think, the guy is a great worker. He's also, according to Andrew Tate, a CIA op, which doesn't surprise me at all from their success of working.
Wait a minute. How is Andrew Tate gonna call somebody a CIA op? These guys have been around for a while. Andrew Tate came out of fucking nowhere. He's a CIA op if anybody is.
Well, I think it takes one to know one, right?
Right? Yeah. He's mad he's not at that level. He's mad he's not main eventing WrestleManias.
Well, and then when he says things that are out of the box, they try and set him up with, there you go. He's on that prime, pal.
Well, the stars of WrestleMania weekend right here with us on the Monday Locker Room.
you know, that they set Andrew Tate up and just silence him, and then truth comes out. So the next thing is they'll kill him. And he said that, and I believe it to be true, where Logan Paul does worked fights and can go and tape people who've suicided themselves in Japan and get away with all that shit and do a crypto scam and make sure his energy drink is selling and all that shit. So absolutely, to be tied in with WWE is an easy CIA op, and also to have numbers on. Have you seen his show on YouTube? It's not that impressive. There's no fucking draw to it as far as
nobody's impressive. You know?
But the numbers are crazy. So that means to me complete Silicon Valley CIA op as well. Now, that being said, for a guy who fucking has had 4 matches in our business and they're completely scripted out with top level workers, he has fucking annihilated it. You can be all those things to get to that point. When it's time to show and prove and put the work in and do it, the guy's a fucking true athlete, and he hasn't slipped up. His sell is great, and it's the people he's working with getting him a great performance out of him and smarting him up. He's obviously very coachable, because otherwise, if you were into your own shit, you'd be fucking that up and be lost. And I can't really see many holes in his game as a green guy pulling off Mania, semi-main events. He's doing shit old Hacker would never fucking do. I'll tell you that much right now. So, and I also love that he's got one screw in his hand, and that's the knockout punch. Same as the bionic elbow, whatever it is. All you got to say that. You say that to a little kid, he's got the metal in his hand or what have you. It makes it something special. So,
well, there's a million people in the world that I don't understand why they're famous, but the Paul brothers ain't one of them, or ain't two of them.
No. They're a sideshow. But as workers, that was the question. As workers, they're brilliant, because look at the money they've made being Hollywood assholes and getting fights with top guys that are obviously works and having undercards that people are talking about, and now into WrestleMania when they should be nothing more than fucking, some TikTok stars that should have been gone long ago. So they definitely got the CIA machine behind them. That's what tells the whole fucking tale there. So, hey, CIA machine, we're over here, pal. I could use some remonetization and about $5 million. I'd be happy.
Sorry, Ben, you can't do a buckshot lariat. So we have.
Well, they owe me for 16 years of propaganda, a little something at least down there in Quantico. I know you're listening. I can see
you can get a lifetime supply of these.
Prime. I thought that was a good spot with his buddy and the fucking foam thing. I thought that was funny comedy in there. I thought it worked pretty well.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. I got to congratulate you, Vet, on, you got 2 on the way. Kelly reveals she's pregnant with twins. Congratulations, pal. Wow. Kelly was so nice they had to name her twice. Who wrote this copy? Ella J. Okay.
That in fairness, that was something they actually had on TV.
Yeah. Kelly. So were you there when she came to visit a couple times? Dude, she's so.
Yes, I have a funny story. So you know how we would do those chain wrestling drills for like an hour, right? So when Barbie, and that's her name's Barbie, and what was Alicia Fox's name was why can't I think of it right now?
It's not Tish, is there something like that?
No, I'm so mad that I can't remember. Well, they came. I will remember. They came down and they were training with us. And so you remember how White Power, Adam Revolver. You remember how much he used to sweat, right?
Oh, sweat nonstop. When he was chain wrestling, dude, it's just coming off him like a faucet.
Right. It's like it's not like he took a shower. It's like he is the shower. That's what it was like. And so
I am the shower.
So yeah, I am the shower. So anyways, so they were grappling or whatever. And then Rip blows the whistle for everybody to like move to the next partner in line. And she's like, and I'm next. And she's like, she's coming over to me and she's got this look on her face and she's just like, like she's like looking down at herself. And I was like, here, just try to dry some of that off on my shirt. Like,
We just worked a bear hug for a little while.
just a little something, you know. I might have helped to try to like towel her off a little bit as we transitioned out of Hammerlocks, because yeah, I felt so bad for her, because I knew we've all been there. Anybody that had to touch that guy.
I sweat like a pig when I start to get overheated. I just can't turn it off. When I was in the Caribbean, I had a couple episodes that I just gotta chill for a minute. But when Revolver gets going, and he's a swimmer, a college level swimmer too, and for some reason the guy just pours sweat out of him, and he's in great shape. He's not a big fat guy.
He doesn't even need a pool.
No,
you just get on the ground, start stroking. Eventually, he'll get there.
Good point. But yeah, man, that had to be and Rip knows that, and he's ribbing them and getting them in there with them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only half pervy wrestling with WWE thing that everyone did too is when Maurice came down and chained with us. I got to roll with her. I don't think I ever rolled with Barbie, but I was married to Josie. Victoria. Yeah.
That's not WWE Victoria. That's Alicia Fox's name. Yeah. Maurice. Yeah.
I was married to Josie for so long in chain wrestling, so that was.
She would get mad if you wrestled another girl, right?
Yeah, she would. She would get mad if I didn't, lay it in like most dudes and put shit on. So, not that I was any good or anything. She was teaching me most of the time. But looks like Kelly is having twins. So congratulations. While the sex of her babies have yet to be disclosed, because they're probably going to be able to choose their own. Kelly's announcement was accompanied by a photo of ultrasound of the fetuses in 2 onesie bodysuits that were printed with the text, "Sometimes you wish for a miracle, sometimes you get 2." I'm obviously happy for her and wish her and her husband Joe Koba the best. Just don't get that DNA test with the vet.
I will see you on Maury.
I'll see you on court. But yeah, man. I don't know. This, and I'm not trying to downplay anybody's blessings, but I always get worried with this type of shit when you're announcing that stuff and you're a celebrity, because if anything goes wrong, you know what I mean? That's just a little scary, because I've seen that happen in other families close to me, and anything can go wrong. And she's a little girl to be carrying twins, bro. She's little. So I hope for healthy, and she puts on 50 pounds. That'd be awesome.
She'll be all right. Those kind of people are always up on. When I say those kind of people, I'm talking about people that are fitness oriented. They have that lifestyle. She's all, she's a model, wrestler, whatever. She knows. So she's gonna have the best care, and she's gonna take care of herself and the kids. It's gonna be fine. She's gonna have all the top flight stuff.
Yeah, we've got all the top doctors. What's being said about WWE's relationship with Saudi Arabia following the Endeavor? I don't like it.
Yeah, what is being said about it?
Yes, well, we were talking earlier, and we've got 15 suitcases for Ari Emanuel. Given that Emanuel and Endeavor pulled out of their relationship, this is from Meltzer Seltzer, so it should have both yes and no in it. Let's see. Pulled out of their business relationship with Saudi Arabia years ago after the reported murder of Jamal Khashoggi. The belief from WWE is that the current deal will continue through the term of the current contract, which was set for 20 events total. Meltzer added that Emanuel could end up softening his stance before the deal expires and doesn't have to make a decision until around 2028. WWE's Queen and King of the Ring event is scheduled to take place on Saturday, May 27th, 2023, in Saudi Arabia. If they said no because of the Khashoggi stuff, I salute them. That's having integrity and not bowing before, again, a CIA op that's a front load for $168 billion weapons deal to bring WWE and the circuses to town. Absolutely. And, Vince does do it for Trump ties and whatever else they needed to do to get, Black Ops into there. And we even saw the hostage crisis. Everyone forgets about the hostage crisis. 20 hours on the fucking tarmac over some bullshit. So there's definitely some weird stuff going on there. But now that Ari's in control, they're just going to honor the deal. I'd like to see Ari take control and say, no, after this one's the last one. After that, we're not doing that anymore. Not until the people inside are brought to justice, which would be top guy Bin Salman, my cousin twice removed, and that ain't going to happen. So now Ari had moral compass and cause, but now he doesn't because Vince had a deal in place. I say I'm the boss. I would fucking chop that right there, just like they're chopping heads for anybody who might be homosexual or they deem a witch. That's one of their favorite things now. You're a witch, so we're going to throw you off a building or cut your head off or hang you from a fucking scaffolding match. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see going forward. I think this one is what I would do is to honor that and then hit him with a bucket of ice water after the show and be like, nah, dude, we're done here. We don't own the company anymore. And let Vince deliver the news.
Yeah. I guess in a lot of like these type of contracts, I would imagine that they put language in that they're able to, sneakily terminate a deal if something like this comes up. Like a lot of those kind of negotiations, you can do that.
Aaron Ben Shlomo, our own tribal guy, corrected me. Crane, they hang him from cranes. My God, that's got to be Crane.
Yeah, it's got to be Crane. So yeah, I think there's probably some loophole way out if they really want to get out. But if not, then, oh well, I guess you could always just hotshot a bunch of shows. It's like, how many do they got left? It's like, we're doing Saudi Arabia week, 7 shows and just get out like one time. So maybe something like that. They
probably got at least 10 left, I'd say.
Yeah, right? Probably. So, something like that. Yeah, I haven't been keeping track because they usually they average about 2 a year, right? Usually like
maybe 3. Yeah. So, we'll see, man. What move Ari makes there? I think if he doesn't say no, and just because it was WWE's deal, I say let him have it. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Like cut him off because everything that they say they're doing to advance society, advance their people out of some fucking crusade shit from 400 AD. That's all bullshit. You can build as big as skyscrapers as you want. You can fucking let the women drive. I don't give a shit. When you're doing that type of capital punishment on people just because you deem them not in your religious zealotry, you're a liar. And the rest of it's all window dressing for the evil that man do. Now, if you were smoking some of the people who are ruining the world, if you went to the G20 summit, captured them all, and then did some beheadings, then maybe I might think a little bit differently about support what's going on. But what they're doing is nothing more than massive human rights violations that go on in North Korea, China, African terrorist states, and all that bullshit. So take away their bread and circuses. Fuck them. That's what I say, pal. How dare you say that to me, moron? I'll cut your throat too. I'll do whatever I want. God damn it.
Right.
I've got a mustache. I've got a beard.
Well, that's who I really feel for in the situation is the people. Like I often say, I certainly would hope that no one would judge me based on my government because they don't represent me at all. So I whenever I watch the shows from there and from Riyadh and stuff, like I look in the crowd and I see the people, and there's a lot of like people having a good time, kids having a good time. They're real wrestling fans. I can tell that most of them are. Yeah. And so like, I just feel bad whenever they get punished for the things that they have no control over. They're the ones that have to live this every day. And they get a chance to, have a break from that and have some fun and see the people that they see on TV live and in person. And isn't that really what pro wrestling's all about, is being able to buy a ticket to be in the same room as your heroes and watch them maybe hopefully win, unless it's in the main event of WrestleMania, then fuck you. But, that's kind of what it's all about. And I see that for the people, and I always feel for the people, the fans first, in these types of things. It's a damn shame that, if they were to like, that would be really the only downside. If they cut this deal, then there's that many more times that the people aren't going to get to, go see a show until who knows how long. They're going to have to leave the country to see another WWE show. So
Well, so be it. Maybe they should leave the country and not come back. That'd be a wise choice too.
Maybe they should.
Big shout out to another veteran in chat as we hit 49 strong. I think we're up to 52, but our OVW brother Charles the Hammer Evans hanging out with us this morning. Hammer, what's good, sir? Good to salute you this morning. Hopefully you had a good Easter weekend, pal. Let's see. The WWE Hall of Famer believes the company will be more successful if Vince McMahon is involved creatively. Who's bucking for a job here? Who's this about? During his podcast, who said this? Heavily noted after McMahon was last minute cause negative shift. Oh, Ric Flair. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Next story.
So, yeah, he says, I just personally told the McMahon family he's still allowed to run WWE because, God forbid, we have another situation where Ted Turner buys the NWA. That turned into the worst case scenario ever. If they don't keep Vince involved and let him to help make creative decisions, I don't think they'll be as successful as they would be without him. This is another dimension-ridden old man who doesn't fucking know shit and or the name of Ben Hameen, along with many other top-tier creatives that could easily come in, take over the entire creative team with a creative team of 3 to 5. Is who I'd surround myself with while I'm head writer, and I will write fucking circles around anything Vince McMahon or his entire staff has ever put out there since the Russo Ferrara era. So go do another fucking commercial to pay alimony and sell fucking roofs or whatever the fuck the next thing of the month is that you got to do. Dude, that's asinine. That Vince McMahon is going to be the end all be all to WWE creative. Nobody's fucked up this show more in the last 12 years than Vince McMahon. And even on the last Monday, they were doing Get Me Shred-O-Matic and shredding fucking scripts to march out Triple H to make a fucking speech that made no sense at all, while the monkeys chanted his fucking name. And I watched him go, we're going nowhere, which means see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, to a lot of people. So whether it's Hit Row to Killer Cross to whoever else, I'm a little worried about this crazy old bastard coming back out of the weeds after his own embarrassments and scandals to reclaim power fully right here like goddamn Emperor Palpatine.
Well, one of the favorite sayings allegedly of Vince is you can't be half pregnant. And so that's the advice I would suggest to Kelly, damn it. Yeah. So that's the that's the phrase I would suggest to the whoever it was idea to take down McMahon in the first place. Like,
yeah,
you dealt out just as much dirt as you thought was necessary to put him away for good. Why don't you dump the whole closet out and let all those skeletons fall down? If you're really serious about getting rid of him, tell everything that happened and stop playing around with it. Just fucking do it. Come on. What are we protecting him for anymore?
They didn't even scratch the surface of the speaking out movement, bro, especially with his inner circle of old dogs that are up there, from Rooster to Hayes to all of them, bro. They all could have got major, like, you ain't coming back, Harvey Weinstein fucking level put on them. You know what I mean?
The only person or people that could have orchestrated the first Twitter retirement, they have to be so high up that they're probably still there, whoever they are. So if you're gonna do it, time to do it. You don't have forever to wait. Just
I
finish him.
I don't know his name. I do know it, but I'd have to look it up. But there's somebody at the VP level that was reaching out to us. I'll leave it at the colloquial us. That from inside WWE. So we're dealing with allegedly USA top brass and then inside VPs who are saying that they're hearing what we're putting out there, and we almost don't know the half of it, how fucking weird it is in the boardroom, the tension, not to speak, and that they're just kind of staying small at a vice president level so they can make sure that their kids' colleges are paid for, and after that it's see ya. But now who knows with the buyout from Endeavor, of what
Right.
that's like there, bro. So people think that because it's HMG and he's an indie worker, they don't know shit, bro. There's people reaching out every fucking week with Stooge reports and never really make the locker room or you know that we're right on it because we know what it's like inside the wrestling bubble, and they just go, mm-hmm.
That's one thing that these marks have to understand. Like, you can't look at somebody's position in whatever wrestling business that is. We are all people in the wrestling business. People of various backgrounds have gotten to various levels and know various things. And where we are now is not indicative of what we know or what we're worth. Some of it is what we choose to do. You know, I voluntarily walked away from it myself. I wasn't told that I couldn't do it. I wasn't kicked out. I wasn't blackballed. I just left, you know, and Ben can attest to that because he was there. So it's not, you know,
and
that doesn't mean that I'm less valid or anybody else is less valid.
Because you weren't on TV there, dude. That's why. But like, that's 100% bullshit. And Hammer's here and is exactly even what you and I are. Hammer's super jacked up, looks like he came right off of a toy shelf. You know what I mean? And just because you don't get that shot, the fans can seem to invalidate, but that goes to show they don't know fuck all. That everybody's mindset is that a master's degree level, and you can put almost any of us you want in that foxhole to hold the line. You know what I mean? But
that extends to that extends to everything in life and every job. Like you just, you know, you're gonna trust somebody just because they're a doctor. How many people get sued for malpractice every year? Like, just, you know, you have to realize and not be a mark and think like just because somebody's in a position that they know more or are better than you.
Yeah. Turn your head and cough. This is from Meltzer on Vince McMahon's future with a creative basis. He probably is or isn't. Let me phrase that. So SmackDown, Vince was not in Portland, but he was working remote. That has to be hilarious, getting him set up on StreamYard. They did not change a lot. There were things that were changed. It didn't change a lot, but there are things that were changed. But it wasn't anything that was major, and whatever that means. You are a fucking moron, Meltzer. Vince is involved. He's definitely involved. And as far as how often he's going to go, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Dude.
See? Meltzer, journalism degree.
Dude.
No journalism degree.
Yeah. And this asshole gets $13 with 1,000 subscribers. Anybody paying for this, just put your hand on a table, take out a hammer, and start smashing your own hand until you realize, what a fool you are, and let that pain reinforce to not subscribe there anymore. Then take your other hand. And
except for Francesco Castano, he can stay subscribed so that he can provide us with all the wonderful castrating remarks tidbits.
Dax Hardwood pitches a match that he thinks will fill seats at Wembley Stadium for AEW All In. WWE All In be hilarious. But he's saying CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite. That's got to be it, right? If you want to sell 50,000 tickets and take this company to the next level, that's it. That's me dreaming. That's the dream match. The 6-man tag in Wembley Stadium could help launch AEW to the next level. I don't hate that match.
The rare unshitty 6.
Yeah. No, it'll still be a shitty 6.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've been in plenty of them. But that, and I think Drew versus Baby Bulldog would be the 2 top matches that I would book there. Some Lucha Spectacular with Commander and Penta and Phoenix and a couple other guys in there. But to draw 50,000, bro, I'm just looking at the numbers. And when I went to TV in Buffalo, Rochester, and Albany multiple times, it was 2,500 to maybe 6,000. I've seen bigger draws in Phoenix. I know when MSG was there, that looked like a nice draw when they were out there, but that's just domestic, bro. You're going to go for your first show to London town and do Wembley. And just because somebody on Twitter challenged him saying, Vince McMahon bought, filled Wembley or whatever, and turned his company in 5 years. If Tony Khan doesn't do it, can't do it, he's a failure. That's what I think drove him to make this rash decision. And meanwhile, he's got a pro soccer stadium and team right there that he owns, and we're not using that. Instead, we're going 10, 20 times bigger than we ever have, and our numbers are down 30%, but we expect a Euro contingent, short of even giving tickets away to every school. You know what I mean? I don't know how you're going to sell these seats to turn a profit or anything along these lines. You think they can even do 50,000 to 60,000, Vet?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Will they? I don't know. But can they? Yes. First of all, despite what everybody may think, Tony Khan loves his statistics. So even if you say it's a rash decision based on a tweet, that's just speculation on your part. The reality is, even if he decided to do something based on that tweet, the first thing he decided to do was look into it and run some numbers and see what he thinks he can do, probably based on the TV deals that they have overseas and the fact of the historically, you know who else didn't do that great in America a lot of times for house shows and touring? TNA. You know where they did great? Overseas in the UK, for whatever reason. People love that shit.
Those were small houses with about 6,500 in there, and it looked awesome. But, without powerhouse players of a Hogan or a Cena or of that level, which he has none.
Right.
It's going to be tough. That's what I'm saying. He needs Drew.
Right. He
He's
probably knows something we don't know. In any case, he's probably got an idea of some names that he can bring in to draw people to that. I think without any of that outside, if they just run a card with their roster now, and if he books it right, they could get 25 easy. But if you actually bring in some names and generate some interest, and if you actually do good TV for a change instead of the shit that you've been doing with no stories and everybody just having a match and then getting into a fight afterwards and then move on to the next match with a fight afterwards, then I think you could conceivably sell 50,000 tickets there. Sure.
Okay.
But
I like that.
It is a long shot. It is a long shot. I'm not saying it's not.
Okay.
But
I'm just thinking about the domestic TV and what I've seen of the crowd, and then going, these people aren't flying to England. Maybe tops 2,000 to 3,000 of them, and that means we got 57,000 local seats to sell, bro.
We are the pro wrestling capital of the world, and we are oversaturated with it, and people have lots of choices. And in those towns like Rochester and Buffalo or whatever, as much as they like wrestling, they've got their pick, and they don't have to go see AEW. They can watch it on TV and skip past the parts they don't like rather than sit there for 6 hours or whatever it is. How long was it? How long did you sit there when you were there?
They can go to Crossfire or Immortal. They've got so many choices here locally. You can watch me win both heavyweight championships at the end of this month.
Yeah. How long, Ben, was a taping when you sat down and watched?
So every time I did not want to come in to watch Dark. So Dark was an hour before, and then two hours, 15 for the TV. And then afterwards they would,
Rampage, another hour.
Yeah. So 3.5, 4 hours.
Right. Yeah. Maybe people could just want to skip that. But if you're going to a one-time only big pay-per-view show in the UK, well, that's a little more enticing, I think. Same thing too. Like, remember, All In started off a tweet, and that was only 10,000, but a lot of people didn't think they could do that. And I was like, of course they can. Of course they could do 10. 10's easy.
Osprey versus Omega. They're saying Soraya versus what's her name? Cakes. Their champ, the girls' champ.
Get Nick Aldis to do something. Shit.
Yeah, they're saying Nick Aldis too, and that's another guy who might be held up with contract freeze or hiring freeze in WWE as well.
So they ain't never gonna hire that guy. He's got that Bruce Pritchard heat. They ain't bringing him in.
Yeah, dude, but
they should. I'm not talking about Nick here. I'm talking about them.
Yeah, there's tons of money on him and even to bring him in so he doesn't do that show is of value. You know what I mean? As a smart war move. Plus the way they treated Mickey on the way out, they kind of would be helping to save face a little bit. You know what I mean?
And they did do right by her later with the Rumble and the stuff.
absolutely. But you know, we'll see. I like Vet's positivity in that, though. I hope they do 50, 60 grand. I don't know. I just as a as a guy on the inside, that one's is a big pill to swallow for me. What's being said, Vet, about Bayley's WWE status after she was reportedly pulled off of Raw? Apparently,
I know what they're saying. I know exactly what they're saying. They're saying,
First of all, don't tell me what to do. Ding dong.
yes. But secondly, they're also saying that nothing out of the ordinary. Everything's fine. That's what they're saying, right?
And then they also say,
You want to laugh, Russo?
but according to PW Insider via Mike Johnson via Paul Heyman, there is no expectation of Bayley leaving WWE. The beliefs that Bayley's sometimes the most romantic love story comes to an end tweet is a case of building buzz and not a sign that she's unhappy or that her creative is being dropped. Oh yeah. Meltzer said both things. He says, while not official, there was belief that Damage Control was being broken up. Oh my God.
We are in control now.
And a tweet from Bayley indicated that. So, are you doing this as work? I don't know, whatever it is. But she put out that tweet, that all things come to an end or whatever. The sweet dreams that Damage Control is a complete rib failure of who gives a shit. We marched these girls out at what was it, Royal Rumble and put them together.
SummerSlam?
Was it SummerSlam? Yeah, the big huge long fucking ramp there, runway. And no one gave a shit, and they didn't get over. None of this has gotten over whatsoever. Their match at Mania was so many pre-planned spots, but the veterans got over. Lita's selling was awesome in that match until we had to get into all these phony spots and head scissor shits that were ridiculous. But Bayley has never gotten to the point where we could have, and they fucked it up with Chelsea Green with the Karen stuff. That all should have been Bayley. And getting it over at that point. They could still have a Karen clique if they wanted to with Chelsea Green, Bayley, and I would put Nikki Cross in there because she's got a master's degree in women's history, I believe. So she could be using exactly to the height of her intelligence of what she's studying and getting that over now instead of crazy Nikki or whatever the fuck they turn on and off every other month. And it would actually be entertaining and get over. Bayley's not once from Bayley, This Is Your Life, that segment, which really set the tone for the next 5 years where nothing was entertaining. And we use spikes like
Ding dong. Hello?
as a rib because it's not anything and no one's buying that shirt. No one gives a shit about any of that stuff. The last time she was over was when she had one ponytail and the fucking Mavis Tires fucking blow up thing out in front. That was it. Since then, there's been no heel crescendo, no real big heat, no memorable moments of anything except for when her and Sasha threw a temper tantrum backstage apparently and were off, or they did a drop toe hold onto a kendo stick to go, watch, I don't know what I'm doing, and almost broke their jaw and all this other bullshit. So Damage Control being over and a Bayley restart might be the best thing ever. Or is she really done in this shit now and never really having major moments? Now, in her mind and her career, she's probably had plenty. She's been at WrestleMania a hell of a lot more than I have, but none of these things stick out as a success that they've tried to restart, whether it was the Sally Jesse Raphael librarian talk show with the fucking door that people do the bit, walk through the door instead of around it. All that is the lowest, stupidest comedy that you could possibly write, in my opinion, and none of it's worked.
So Bayley is I've always been a fan of Bayley, and I always will be a fan of Bayley. But Bayley has been buried under a dump truck of lemons and chicken shit. So
it's not.
nobody can make
not.
their way out of it. But she's tried. She's tried so hard. She never should have been a heel. But they just didn't get it.
She could have got the Karen stuff.
Well, yeah, but how late into her run are you pitching that? See how long it's been? Like,
no,
you were just started talking about that a few months. Well, even if you were,
I pitched it in 20.
allegedly,
I pitched.
Okay, so as far as I know, you've only been talking about it for a few months, but even back then, so you're pitching the Karen thing, but even so, like, that's just not her. She's just not cut out to do it. And even making her a heel, like, for all the terrible comedy and stuff like that, for me, if you were a dork as a babyface, you're going to be a dork as a heel. There's no reason you should immediately be cool. So in a way, it made sense, but they still didn't get the max value out of it. So they were never going to, because they just don't know what to do with her. She's able to mostly keep her head above water no matter how bad it gets, but she's not going to be able to, elevate Damage Control, because they're really not giving her anything even to do with them. Like, them just simply existing on Monday nights is not enough to get the people like behind them. So
you can't look at Dakota Kai and go, she could really kick somebody's ass. And they don't make her a snake in the grass that strikes while somebody's weak. They have her go work 50-50. So we're done. We're done in the psychology before it even starts.
Right. And poor Io, this is not the spot for her. Like, she can't be the third part of a meaningless group. It's just, none of this is correct. It never was correct. I feel bad for Bayley. If she wants to strike out on her own, good. I fully support people walking out. They should, if that's how you, same thing like you're saying about, Ari Emanuel and his convictions on, with Endeavor in Saudi Arabia. If you feel that way, put your money where your mouth is and walk the fuck out and show them that they don't own you. But I don't know if that's really the case.
The Zionists own you. That's who owns you.
Yeah. I don't know if that's really the case. But if it is, then she can, Sasha's doing fine for herself, and everyone else can too. She just had a high profile match in Japan this weekend, and she was on the episode of The Mandalorian last week. So she's all right. Her life isn't stopped.
Yeah. I guess tonight on Raw, you guys might have heard of that show, but the Cody Rhodes
Raw dogs. Where my Raw dogs at?
Cody Rhodes will be addressing his future on the 4/10/23 edition of Raw. Whoa, baby! I'd like it if he showed up all hammered on Whoa Baby wine. Fucking.
I thought it was non-alcoholic. That's the point. It's for pregnant women, right?
I think she was. I don't think there is such a thing.
It's called grape juice. Non-alcoholic wine is called grape juice.
Yeah. On his Instagram post, he puts over a lot of people and saying, that about the loss, it wasn't what he had hoped for on Sunday, but he'll be back on Monday to talk about his future. So we'll find out what's going on, and then what heel interrupts him will be his next mini feud. However, he just got killed by Brock, so why you're going to talk about your future, you need to talk about Brock kicking your fucking ass when Vince rewrote that last Monday. So right now we're scrambling for a monologue, probably being written and rewritten. No, it's 10 in the morning. We got another 3 hours. Rewritten at 1 from what's there, and then that goes in the shredder. And then at 3:30 we'll get the real monologue that addresses a future or a Brock, or someone will just attack him and we'll forget about the Brock business. It'll be something stupid.
Well, as per what we were talking about earlier for like the first hour of the show, why would I care about a match between, why would I care about Cody's opponent being the guy that lost to the guy that lost to the one-armed man?
Yeah, exactly.
Shouldn't Cody easily beat Brock Lesnar? It should be no problem, right?
It should be no problem for him whatsoever, especially if Brock's on his way out and with the almost or whatever. Fuck. Not sure what happened here, but we do have a statement saying former WWE ECW star Sabu hospitalized after a serious medical emergency. The former ECW world champion suffered a medical event during an appearance at the Squared Circle Expo in Indianapolis on Saturday. The convention's official Facebook issued a statement. Attention, due to having serious medical emergency while on the show floor, Sabu will not be appearing for the remainder of the expo. He's currently en route to a local medical facility. Good rib. All pro photo op for the ECW Pillars Pro Op and Sabu RVD Pro Op will be refunded cash in hand at the photo op at their scheduled time. Our thoughts are with Sabu and all of his ECW colleagues at this time. We await for hopefully positive news on the situation. Thank you for your understanding. And then Sabu tweeted, says, hello, everyone. I'm doing better, and thank you for your well wishes. So coherent enough to put out a tweet about it. I'm not sure what happened there. Obviously, I think the guy is also having a really, really hard time after the loss of his lady, pretty tragically within the last year. But with Sabu, like, what couldn't it be based on what this guy's put his body through, bro? You know what I mean? I worked a show with him maybe 3-4 years ago, and he was wrestling with the back brace on, like kayfabed underneath the high-waisted shit, bro, and he was fucked up. My back kills every day now. I couldn't imagine what pain he goes through every day. So I hope that he can kick out to some degree soon. But man, I got a feeling that the guy's probably had one of the hardest years of his life, to be honest with you, emotionally.
Definitely. Yeah, he's never taken care of himself on the exterior side of it. But he's also one of those guys that just everything he's done in his career has been because it kind of reminds me of what you hear Arn Anderson say a lot when he says, I didn't know you could say no in this business.
Yeah. Right.
People would tell Sabu, hey, this is what we need. And he'd be like, okay. And it started when he was doing that FMW bullshit with Onita back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And he just was like, barbed wire match, okay, because he's trying to make a name for himself. And then when in doing that, you try to stand out in some way. So whether that's using tables and chairs as part of your, not just that you're hitting people with them, but you're using them as part of your own offense, launching yourself off them, through them, whatever, like. You do that, you set an expectation, then you must continue with that expectation out of a sense of obligation because this is your gimmick. You didn't come up with a gimmick.
Yeah, that's your flavor of ice cream, bro.
You didn't come up with a gimmick that you weren't a madman. You had to continue carrying on with it and doing those stunts and everything like that. We criticize people, young people, for doing these things. We criticize guys like the Dante Martins who just broke his ankle, or anybody else for doing all these things. It's like, we can't talk about these guys when everybody's always been doing this. When Buddy Rogers started running tackle drop downs in the 50s or so, Luthez was probably like, this fucking idiot. Like it's never going to change. But that's just something I would strongly suggest to people, because Sabu, I just recently heard him on because he was on the Jericho Cruise this year, and Jericho probably had to convince him to come out and, do this. And he sounded on the podcast that he did, which they were talking about death matches and stuff. He sounded very like in a good mood. He sounded healthy. He sounded lucid. He sounded great. So I was happy to hear that. Because of all the stuff that he's been through up and until, including this past year, even. Yeah. But yeah, like eventually everything gives out, and I would just caution to everybody out there, like if you're starting out in the business and you're trying to make a name for yourself, it's okay to try to do amazing things that people will remember, but don't forget the part where you could transition out of that at some point because you have gotten over with character, and you won't be locked into doing things because you have versatility and you have layers and you have things that you can fall back on when your body gives out, and it will give out. Even if you don't wrestle, even if you've never wrestled, your body will eventually give out. So keep that in mind, everyone.
Great advice there from the vet, you guys here on the Monday Locker Room. Our final story, Vet, and take it back to where we started, and I think it makes us look like geniuses, as we always are. WWE Hall of Famer says Roman Reigns could have made Cody Rhodes a megastar at WrestleMania 39. WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle commented on the match. He said, I'm not going to beat up on Roman Reigns because he's the man and deserves to be, said Kurt. We're in a time now where if you're a champion for 3 years, that's a little long. It's just too long because we're not in territories anymore. When you were in territories, you weren't on TV every week, so fans had to come see you at the arenas, and you'd only be in that city one day a week. So they only saw wrestling one day a week back then, when they were champion for 6-8 years. Now Roman Reigns has gone on, and it looks like he's going to have to hold the title for another few years. The thing is, he's on TV every week, sometimes twice a week. And then, a pay-per-view every month. It's just a lot. I don't believe the ratings are going to go down, but I do believe some people are going to lose interest because they're not making other wrestlers. Roman has an opportunity to make a wrestler. He could have made Cody into a megastar, which Cody already is a star, but he would have been a megastar if he would have won at WrestleMania. That's just my opinion. Interesting take on the territory days and overexposure from Angle here, as opposed to the spotlight and who's more over and what's what in his reasoning and deduction. But another great point by the Three Eyes himself, Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, that it's a long time these days because of the proliferation of television content that's expected to be provided on such a regular basis. But I don't think that really changes the approach. I think it will always work if you have somebody, think about it. Like, even if you never really watch wrestling, but today's the day you're going to give it a shot, you tune in and you hear that this guy has already been champion for like 2.5, 3 years. That immediately sparks a level of interest. I'm like, let me look at this guy. What's so great about him? And then you might fall in love with it, or you might tune it out and say, maybe this isn't for me, whatever it is. But you add that credibility and, looking backwards towards things that used to be done, that will always work. Having a long reigning champion will always work because, people will grumble about it at first, but now you get to the point where people are very, very, they're happy that Roman actually won. Right. There's because they're not looking at all the things we're looking at. They're just looking at how they personally feel, and they like Roman better, so they're happy he won. And that's how you build interest. And it may not, immediately show in just like television ratings and stuff, but it may show in terms of ticket sales, merchandise, video game sales, toy sales, all those other things that show, having Roman on top has been very good for business. And the belts not being on him probably wouldn't change that business. He'd still sell all those toys and stuff, but it's good. It's good overall. And it's also good, like Kurt said, to make somebody on that night, even if he can't be the next Roman Reigns. When we're looking at this, it's like, it's time. It's time to end the bloodline. It's not going to get any higher than this, and we have to do something with it. So,
well, the bloodline can stay. We just need a complete revamp at the bottom of the mountain and see what that looks like when they become savages. I'm sure Vince would have a bone through their nose or some dumb shit. But
back to eating live chickens, and
I would like to see the Mafia roundtable with Alpha and Sika, and they got to answer to those guys, Rikishi, and that those guys lay down the edict, like in. Fucking the mob would with guys in Kansas City. In Vegas, and they're running Vegas, you know what I mean, out of Kansas City, because they're the ones who are not there. So it'd be way better choices all the way around. And of course, Kurt Angle listens to the vet and Ben Hameen and everything that we do, and then we've influenced another legend here. So, but
last thing I'll say on that note, Ben, is when it first started. And it was going on for a long time. I was thinking like, wow, who's going to be the guy to end it? And I didn't know the answer then, but I said, I bet when it's time, I will know. I don't know now, but I'll know when it's time. And I didn't know. And then they made Cody. And then I was like, now it's time. And they didn't do it. And I don't think there'll be a time as good. There may be another pretty good time. Won't be as good, I don't think.
Won't be as much of a payoff. I agree, man. We definitely missed the moment. The bus went right by us, and everyone can come up with alternative theories and whatnot, but that's just how it is. You write the story to completion in the movie, and you start part two. you don't just fade in from one to the next. We needed something there, and we missed it. But you didn't miss today, Vet. I want to say thank you for reaching out, man. And I've enjoyed the hell out of this conversation and our time together always, man. And thank you for all you're doing on the Impact Attack with Let's Go Brandon and putting up with Big Ray all day over there on the Next Level review, man. And maybe, they'll clip NXT and we'll free you up to do something else even more fun and exciting. So that's that, man. But you guys can find them at Opinion Haver on Twitter. Where else, Vet, can we find you aside from here on channelattitude.com, HMG?
Yeah, all your favorite social media platforms at Opinion Haver. You just Google Opinion Haver and stuff is going to come up and you'll be able to tell that it's me. There won't be any mistaking it. Twitch.tv/Opinion Haver. I'll probably jump on shortly after this and finish up some Resident Evil 4 remake, which Resident Evil 4 remake brought you that knockout by Israel Adesanya, the last style bender this weekend.
Fuck that game then, because I lost every UFC bet I placed. I was not happy this weekend.
He's Nigerian. Check your emails. So anyway, yeah, there you go. That's where you can find me, and of course, Channel Attitude, like Big Ray on Wednesday and Brandon on Monday. Later on tonight, you'll see me on the Impact Attack Live, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And for Big Ray, that's Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Check out Wrestling with Rip Rogers on YouTube on Fridays. Live Q&As. Jump in there, ask questions, Von Lila Studios, and sometimes even I'm on there. So you may get a little bit more Vet as a live guest on there. And then, of course, we already talked about it, but check out everything Stevie Richards doing, his updates on everything he's got going on, his reviews of the fitness equipment that he already had in the can, and just follow Stevie Richards everywhere and stay up to date with one of the greatest men in wrestling history. That's it for me, man.
I couldn't agree more, Vet. Thank you again, buddy. You guys can come on out, bring your worthless Canadian sap-sucking money on the 23rd to Crossfire Wrestling in St. Catharines, Ontario at the Merit Center as I take the Crossfire Heavyweight Championship from Tyler Turba. Then I'm going to take it over to Niagara Falls and throw it right over the goddamn ledge. It's going to be great, infidels. So be there on the 23rd. And then the 29th, I claim immortality at Immortal Championship Wrestling when I throw 30 infidels over the top rope and become that heavyweight championship all the way 6 days apart from each other. 2 titles that I'm going over strong, and then crossing back over the border May 6th to debut with my man GGP at Great Northern Wrestling in Ottawa, Ontario. Or is it Ottawa, Ontario? I don't even care. Ottawa, where there's beavers everywhere. I for some reason, I'm not sure what's going on up there. Yes.
Just be assured that defeating 30 men in a battle royal does not guarantee you championship victory, as we've discussed for well over an hour here today.
Well, it will for me. The title's on the line. So, y'all infidels, new shirts coming at those shows, exclusive. Come on out, bring your Kiss Me Kayla Sparks or Karen Sparks sign. I know some people are making Karen Sparks. She's going to love that as well. And check us out everywhere on Twitter. Big shout out to Kaz for all the clips at Hameen Media Group. You guys share all of those, and we need more subscribers, but you're the best in the biz here. Join us. We are 56 strong here in the live chat. And if you're not a subscriber to channelattitude.com, cough up the $5, moron. It's Hacker Hameen. It's the Vet. It's the Monday Locker Room. YOLO.
If you're not Caucasian, then no break.